Yes, you guys, welcome back. I'm in EFC, this is Blue Lions TV, and today we have some breaking news to discuss surrounding a certain Mr. Jules Kounde, because today's reports are suggesting that this deal potentially has been stalled and could actually be off. In today's video, I'm going to break down the story, what this failure to potentially sign Kounde means, and of course, what the future holds as well. So I hope you guys definitely do enjoy. Hit that like button, press that bell notification button, do all that good stuff, people. And before I get into anything though, today's video is brought to you by OneFootball, and with transfer deadline day coming tomorrow at 11 PM UK time, you guys download OneFootball to stay up to date with all the transfers happening in the Premier League and across Europe as well. They have an incredible transfer update feature which makes it easier for you to find out all the latest deals happening and running over the next 48 hours, you guys. For me, I'm always stressing the importance of it being an amazing companion app to have, because whenever there's time to see the information on stats, fixtures, news, etc, OneFootball is here to help you out. If you guys want to shout out for yourself, find a link below in the description, click on that and help support the channel, you guys. I really appreciate it. And without wasting any more time, we start things off by discussing the story behind what is currently happening with Jules Kounde. Now, this report first came from David Ornstein, very good journalist, and he did state that the Spanish reports that we had been seeing over these past few days, maybe we as fans were just ignoring them, because they kept reporting that Sevilla were adamant that they wanted to receive an amount closer to the valuation they wanted to let Kounde go. Of course, we were able to agree a gentleman's agreement to sign him for 50 million euros plus additional clauses and fees on top of that. However, it seems over the past 24 hours, all of that's changed right now. Sevilla, they've gone back against that agreement they made, and currently they want 65 million euros to let him go. That 50 million valuation is something the club aren't particularly too happy with, and even though Kounde has done everything that he needs to do, he rejected the opportunity to link up with the Sevilla squad to play against Elche, he travelled to Paris to link up with his agent too. He's showing that he wants to move. He's agreed personal terms since last month as well. It seems Sevilla will play hardball and wait to get the money they want. Now, this is particularly interesting, you guys. There's so many questions that come from this, why did Zuma go? It seems like maybe Sevilla were waiting for Zuma's sale to be completed first before going back in to raise the demands, knowing that we are more desperate to sign Kounde than maybe Sevilla actually are to let him go. It's not the first time they've turned down massive offers for him, and with a player of his ability, there'll be even more clubs after him in the next window. So from Sevilla's perspective, they're still happy, they're still rosy, and they still keep hold of an excellent player in their defence for another season. But at the same time, of course, naturally as a fan, thoughts do go towards maybe our transfer budget, considering that we've essentially signed Lukaku purely from players sold from the academy, sold from the club, and we've sold players up to the tune of over 130 million pounds. That means there's at least 30 plus million in there just for us to still play with, based on money raised from player sales. Considering that Zuma as well too recently was sold to West Ham for another 30 million too. Don't we have all the money we need to get this Kounde deal done, even offering the money that Sevilla want? That's where things get quite interesting, because on top of this, it really does feel like we still haven't even come close to dipping into our Champions League winning money and the money we generated from last season as well. Now, right now, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions breaking down the story. For me, this story is not simply just a black and white matter. From both clubs' perspectives, I understand their current take on the issue. With Sevilla, I'd imagine they're not too impressed by the fact that I think it's quite clear the club encouraged Kounde to maybe go and strike a little bit to force a move so we can sign him for the price we want to sign him for. Of course, Kounde was playing for Sevilla until all of a sudden he wasn't happy to do so, and then he forced his way to Paris to link up with his agent. We've done the same thing with Ben Chilwell. We did the same thing too with Maurizio Sarri, engineering that whole move to put pressure on Napoli to play ball by our demands. But from that perspective, I understand why Sevilla would play dirty themselves as well by going back against this deal. But at the same time, from our own perspective, we agreed a gentleman's agreement. Yes, that was going to be 50 million euros up front. We don't know how much that was going to be on top though when it comes to clauses and additional fees too. But regardless, Sevilla aren't asking for 20 million more. It's like 10 million more. And based on all the players we're still going to sell, players that have been sold, plus other money generated, is that enough of a reason to potentially jeopardize this entire move? Now, I just want to talk about some pros and cons that I see from this deal. Do I personally feel like this is the end of the world that we haven't secured signing Kounde? Absolutely not. My opinion throughout this entire window has been that our defence is more than fine. We've got one of the best defences in the world. Look at that performance against Liverpool just a few days ago. Look at the depth we have. We could bring on Thiago Silva and just re-strengthen that entire defence as well. How much competition do we really need there, considering the partnerships we already have really are some of the very best in Europe currently? You know, Kounde would add to that strength, but you know, he still have to share minutes with some of these guys because it's not like he's an upgrade over your Christensens, your Rudigers, etc, etc. When Thiago leaves at the end of the season, if Rudiger decides he doesn't want to commit to signing a new deal, there will be options and the availability to sign him in January or in the next window. So we should still keep those relations very good because Kounde is not going anywhere. And why not agree the deal now to sign him for next season at least? I'm not too sure. On the other hand though, we let Kurt Zouma leave first, and now it kind of feels like, was there any point now, considering that it looks like Kounde may not come in the end at all. If you're Zouma, you're probably a little bit pissed off yourself, thinking, you know, I could have potentially been part of a title winning squads, you know what I mean, and then I could have made my move in the next summer. But I think it comes down now to an issue that I've personally had with our window. And for me, that issue is that it feels like we've spent too much time looking at opportunistic moves instead of really addressing the key areas. And you know, of course, you guys, I've got very high ambitions for the club. Listen, we do a ton of great things, which I never ever downplay, diminish, or don't discuss. I do that, but I also like to talk about the other sides that we don't do perfectly, from my opinion, from my limited perspective as well too. And I do think when it comes to that squad management, do we always have it on point? I mean, come on, look at this summer. We wasted time trying to go for Hakimi. We put in an offer of Marcos Alonso plus a bit of money as well, and hoped that would be enough to persuade Inter Milan to sell, but it wasn't. Did we go back in to make a new bids? Not at all. Because our energy for Hakimi was always to sign him for that particular price to see if Inter would budge. They didn't do that. And of course, in life, everything comes with consequences. Every reaction has a consequence. And that consequence was that you made Livramento an absolute wonder kids in English football right now. Wonder kids, yeah? You made him lack that faith that he was going to get fair opportunities. Because that's why they leave, you guys. It's about getting a fair opportunity. You think some of their parents were happy behind the scenes? Absolutely not. And it's quite maddening in that sense, considering that, you know, there's more faith and confidence shown for Hudson-Odoi, who's never played as a wing-back, compared to one of the best wing-backs for his age in Europe right now. It's no surprise that now that he's been getting his first minutes instantly for Southampton, he's already demonstrating that he is going to be one of the top Premier guys in his position in Europe, without a doubt. I also think actually this move for Kounde was also opportunistic as well. And that's based on how it potentially could be ending, because there definitely is the money there to pay a little bit extra to push through the move and get it done. But it seems like the club may not look to do that based on the fact that they want to sign him for our own price, not for Sevilla's price. And sometimes in this market, when you want to sign players, you can't always play by your rules to get them. It works at times, but is this a strategy that's foolproof and works for every single player in every single club and situation? No. Because I think as clubs like Sevilla and Dortmund have shown, money isn't enough for them to persuade them to sell their players. You know, they have their own ambitions, they have their own targets they need to achieve, and they know that they have assets there where their value won't be going down anytime soon. So it has to be by their rules in that sense. You have to do that sometimes, and I feel like we are reluctant to maybe overpay, where sometimes in the long term, you have to take that risk, in my opinion, and cough up the money. I say this because throughout this window, we kept hearing of Jimenez, we kept hearing of Kounde, of Süle, of Boateng, all these big commanding presences at centre-back. And Kounde, even though he's been a long-term target, was not part of that original list. So that tells me clearly that the strategy at centre-back did change, and that's why we then looked at someone like Kounde, who can elevate in the long term that right-hand side centre-back position. I still can't get over the fact that, is Kounde even needed in this window? For me, a Kante successor, a Kante backup, you know, something to support Kante is needed, because look at that assurance he gives us in front of our defence. You know, there are players in the market right now that can fulfill that job. You know, Tuchel will rotate between 4 midfield players. For me, this is the position that we needed. It was always striker and that Kante backup. Because when we have that, I feel like that really addresses issues in the squads, and that makes them foolproof, and that makes the squad even more complete. So again, you know, I feel like we are paying the price of opportunism. You know, we've already seen a lot of players leave that maybe might not have left if we had players already remaining here as well. And it's a bit of a disappointment considering that when you sign someone like Lukaku, that's a big statement. That means that, yo, you thought we were going to wait another season, give time to players to develop. We can do that, but no, we want to win everything right now. Lukaku is literally the embodiment of that, and for me, this is when you spend a little bit extra to really foolproof things right now, because then it makes everything more complete. That means we can spend future windows just addressing maybe squad rotation fixes, maybe 1 or 2 players that might decide to leave. It becomes no stress then, because you have the foundations fully built in the team right now. And, you know, if we potentially maybe lost out on winning things due to minor small details like not having that Kounde guy that gives that better assurance and physicality in front of our defense, that would be unforgivable in my opinion. Absolutely unforgivable, because again, it felt like the strategy was evolving throughout this window. Yeah, the striker was the main guy. No surprise we weren't playing around when it came to strikers. It was always Haaland and Lukaku. They were the only ones we were ever looking at in this window. No surprise that we got that deal done for Lukaku in the end. But for the other positions, you know, one day it's centre back, the other day it's wing back, the other day it's midfield. And it just essentially came down to who can be signed for the best possible price in any one of these positions. And I don't think it has to be like that. So you guys, are my current thoughts on this whole thing surrounding Kounde. I don't think this move was 100% off at this point in time. I think it's very likely. The only way it can get pushed through though is if the club cough up the money that Sevilla want. And with all this effort we've made signing him, it would feel a bit weird to me if we don't push through that final amount to get this deal over the line, considering it's basically done now. And there's literally not much time to waste. So you guys, please share your thoughts and opinions below in the comments. How do you really feel about this? Is this disappointing? Are you okay with this? Are you okay with our overall transfer strategy this window? And would you just be happy if we only signed Lukaku in this window? So on that note, I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys later with some more videos. Cool.